Today's top stories consist of how Nintendo manages deleting Splatoon 2 posts that are offensive. We're talking about a video game show based off of the Nintendo Switch working with Disney, and Octopath Traveler roasting the entire gaming industry. If these stories sound interesting to you, you've tuned into the right show, here on News You Missed, the video game news show that recaps what happened this week that you missed that might be important to the video game industry at large, and possibly you. Before we jump into that, I want to show you something pretty unique. You guys remember fidget spinners? Who could forget, right? Well, a lot of people like fidget spinners, but they don't really like how large they are. They don't really like that they're stuck with them, that they're very, very visible. So what Rav Power decided to send over to me was a ring that is basically a fidget spinner. It looks nice, it feels nice, and it allows you to do basically the same thing that you would do with a fidget spinner, except it's in an inconspicuous form. So if you guys are interested in picking one of these bad boys up, I'll go ahead and leave the link in the description below. Now let's jump into the news. Splatoon 2 producer explains Nintendo's approach to deleting very negative posts on Splatoon. Now you might be surprised reading that headline thinking that they censor a lot of things, but no they don't, not really. Basically all they said is that it comes down to a rating system in Japan specifically called SERO. SERO, Computer Entertainment Rating Organization, SERO. So they get a rating of A, which Splatoon 2 has, and they want it to contain, which means no content that should offend children. And basically, they have a small team dedicated to looking for posts, and if these posts offend people, then they get taken down. As long as it doesn't hurt a child, it won't be taken down. But here's another catch-22, believe it or not. They said that even if you post offensive content, if they never see it, it doesn't matter. So if the post that you're posting gets no likes and isn't shared widely, they'll never be taken down and it'll just fade into obscurity. So if you post something pretty negative and you're afraid you're going to get banned, you probably won't unless it gets really noticed. The team's extremely small, so obviously they're not going to consistently be able to see every single person's post, but that's basically how they end up deleting very negative posts over on Splatoon 2. Do you think Splatoon 2 should be open and free, or do you think Nintendo reserves the right to delete posts like that? You let me know in the comments down below. So Nintendo and Disney team up for a Switch-focused show. Now, back in the day, there used to be a show where there was a very physical event. You could play video games. There were all sorts of shows based around very unique competition stylings over on Nickelodeon. That was Nick Arcade. But here, what Nintendo's searching and trying to do with Disney is that they want to post competitions of families coming together to do challenges. Not only for games like Mario Odyssey, where you have to complete a certain section and get a certain amount of collectibles in a certain amount of time, but they want to add in things like Just Dance with a high score feature, along with several other games. These copies will obviously be used in an effort to have people run through certain events, kind of like an NES remix, I suppose. So that'll be pretty interesting, and maybe it will give way to a unique and interesting NES remix experience for the Nintendo Switch, except it won't be the NES remix, it'll be the Switch remix. Would you play that? I certainly would. I can't wait to see the show. Hopefully it does great. Something perplexing has also come out. Reggie talked about how Canada loves Legend of Zelda, more so than America. More so than Japan. The sales are pretty ridiculous. For whatever reason, Canadians really love The Legend of Zelda. Another IP that does really well up there is the Pokemon games. For whatever reason, over the last 10 years, he says this is a very unique and interesting phenomenon. So if you're from Canada, I would really appreciate it if you would let me know what's up with the Zelda and Pokemon craze up in Canada. It's a bit strange, kind of weird demographic that location of all the locations would do the best, considering Japan's, ground zero, and America's pretty large with a lot of extra capital to invest in video games, and then there's Europe too. So let me know. Going over to PC gaming, apparently PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has been accused of being an asset flip, but it's actually not. What ended up happening with this story is that developers came out and started talking about how they they actually began creating PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. And they talked about how they started with some assets. Now, a lot of people do not like asset flip games because you're basically taking assets that are for sale on the store and flipping them over into a game that really shouldn't be a game. You didn't do anything. You just took what was there and made it into a game. And that's a low quality asset flip. A lot of those games turn out really, really crappy and unfinished. And so a lot of people accuse PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds of that because they were using assets at first. And what they ended up saying is that you don't start off development of a game by just saying, hey, let's see what works. Hey, let's just make all our own custom assets right off the bat. You go in there with a drawing board and you get these assets and you put things together, and slowly but surely you replace the assets with your own custom assets so that now you're not using the assets of another company and you're not using an asset flip, but you have the assets there, kind of like a toy box to play around with for your developers at first before you jump into the real game. So there you go. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is not an asset flip. Steam's also going to be restricting achievements to curb fake games. So there's a number of small games that are being restricted for whatever reason. Again, as aforementioned, there's a lot of asset flips out there. So if there are fake games or terrible games or bad games, but they somehow have achievements, they're going to be restricted. So that's the long and the short of this story. There's not really much else. A lot of people won't be affected by this. If you have a lot of games and you have a lot of achievements, there's that. I don't even know why they're bothering, because achievements almost do nothing across the board, whether it's on Xbox or whether it's on Steam. Yeah, it's great to have a lot of achievements, but again, they just don't really do a lot. So Nike has made some Xbox Air Jordans. There's no word on if these are actually going to be sold anytime soon because they were worn during the E3 promotion. But hey, you know, I wouldn't mind some Xbox Air Jordans. There's really nothing special about these except that they have the Xbox symbol on the inside of them, so you can't really see it from the outside, but they are definitely Air Jordans. They're green and black. They look really, really hot, really nice. If you're a big basketball shoe collector or you like a lot of Air Jordan stuff, it's probably right up your alley if you're an Xbox fan too. Xbox insiders get access to new avatar editor. Thank you for giving us something almost no one wanted, Microsoft and Xbox. This is a choice. You do not necessarily have to use the avatar editor, but the new one allows your avatars to look a lot better, I guess. That's what I'm getting from this. So instead of a generic avatar, you get a more realistic one, I guess. So there you go. And finally, I wanted to end on this story. This is a real quick one. Octopath Traveler won't receive DLC because it's a finished product. Woo! I see what you did there. Despite what you might think about DLC, they definitely roasted the entire video game industry here with that comment, and I completely agree. A lot of people are loving the Octopath demos. A lot of people cannot wait to get Octopath, and like me, I am super excited for it, man. I have not been this excited for a video game in quite some time, and I'll tell you, it's pretty rare to get me excited for a video game, especially one that looks so retro, but unique in the graphical stylings. I really can't wait to get my hands on this game, and I promise you I'm going to play it many times from start to finish. Man, it's a finished product. Who really roasting the video game industry? What do you think about that, ladies and gentlemen? So I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. This has been the stories for this episode of News You Missed. Please like and share this. Let people know about the video game news that's going on. If you didn't like this, you can go ahead and leave me a dislike and let me know what I can do better in the future. You can subscribe and help me get that 1 million subscribers. It's absolutely free, and you're helping me accomplish my dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, you can be a part of that. Join the Maverick Rebellion today. Rebel against mainstream media and join us, real gamers who absolutely love video games. So, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and hopefully I'll catch you up on some news you missed next time. Thanks for watching. As always, good gaming, God bless, and take it away, N-Cards Light.